I am surrounded by stacks of books. This is my second summer book haul video, and I believe I'm going to concentrate right now on books that I purchased myself. I'm going to start with books that I picked up at Goodwill. So their books range anywhere from like 50 cents to $2 or $3. So I found a really nice copy of Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. It was a National Book Award winner. I have heard that this is a great book. I've heard lots of chatter about it, but I really don't know anything about it. I assume that has something to do with race and race relations, but that is all I know. Fat Angie by E. Charlton Trujillo. Again, I've never heard of this. I know nothing about it. I picked it up because I like the cover, and I'm hoping that it is like fat positive, body positive representation. If you know anything about this, if you know it's terrible representation, let me know. What the Dickens by Gregory Maguire. The story of a rogue tooth fairy. Unfortunately, the label did not come off very nicely on this one. But I wanted to read this first of all because I recently read Gregory Maguire Matchless, which is a retelling of The Little Match Girl. And I feel like I borrowed this from the library at one point, and I just never got around to reading it. So I picked it up because I want to read it. The Lacuna by Barbara Kingsolver. I have not read any Barbara Kingsolver in quite a while, but I did read the Poisonwood Bible and a couple others like a decade or so ago, and I had recently heard about this one. It's amazing. It says, in this powerfully imagined, provocative novel, Barbara Kingsolver takes us on an epic journey from the Mexico of artists Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo to the America of Pearl Harbor, FDR, and J. Edgar Hoover. The Lacuna is the poignant story of a man pulled between two nations, as well as an unforgettable portrait of the artist and of art itself. The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest by Stieg Larsson. I read this trilogy like when they first came out, I think, and I loved them, and so I just want to have them for myself, and this one happened to be there, and hopefully I will be able to find The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the third, whatever the second one is called. Hopefully I'll be able to find those two in the same version so that I can have matching, same size books to look nice on the bookshelf and to reread. I mean, I do want to reread them. What is the What by Dave Eggers. I have not read anything by him yet. I really want to read the, what is it, the Circle one, or whatever it's called. The one that was made into a movie recently. I've not read or seen the movie. Like I said, I've read nothing by him. This one was a National Book Critics Circle Award Perfection finalist. I've heard good things about the author and about this book. So, there you go. Queen by Alice Hoffman, basically because it was 50 cents and I really want to read some Alice Hoffman. I can't remember if I ever read The Daughter of Fortune or not. I do own a copy now, but I don't think that I ever read it. I might have owned it and given it away and never read it, but I own it again, and I have this one, and I have another book of hers in another pile. Lost at Sea by Brian Lee O'Malley. This is a graphic novel. Raleigh doesn't have a soul. A cat stole it. Or at least that's what she tells people. Or at least that's what she would tell people if she told people anything. Why is it all so terrifying? Why is everyone so hard to deal with? Why is she in a car with 3 of her classmates driving halfway across the country? What is she even doing here? She doesn't even know. Raleigh is 18 years old, and she has no idea what she's doing. If you've ever been 18, or confused, or both, maybe you should read this book. And I have been 18 and confused, and sometimes I'm still very confused. And I don't always love people very much, and sometimes I love people too much. So yeah, this just seems like my jam. Some more Grayson by John Green and David Leviathan. Boys, they both are named Will Grayson, and that is all I know. But I want to give it a try. The God of Small Things by Aaron Roddy Roy. This is another one that I believe I owned at one point, and for whatever reason, I never read it. Man Booker Prize winner. She has another book out, and so I've been hearing more about this again. It's always been recommended to me by friends, and I just finally need to read it. Okay, next are books that I found at my library on my library's book sale bookshelf that I've picked up over the last couple months, and their paperbacks are 50 cents and the hardcover covers are $1. So I found The Dovekeepers by Alice Hoffman. Yeah, I just love pictures that have that like antique-y sort of look and feel to them. In 70 CE, 900 Jews held out for months against armies of Romans on Masada, a mountain in the Judean desert. According to the ancient historian Josephus, 2 women and 5 children survived. Based on this tragic and iconic event, Hoffman's novel is a spellbinding tale of 4 extraordinarily bold, resourceful, and sensuous women, each of whom has come to Masada by a different path. Yael's mother died in childbirth, and her father, an expert assassin, never forgave her for that death. Revka, a village baker's wife, watched the horrifically brutal murder of her daughter by Roman soldiers. She brings to Masada her young grandsons, rendered mute by what they have witnessed. Aziza is a warrior's daughter, raised as a boy, a fearless rider, and an expert marksman who finds passion with a fellow soldier. Shira, born in Alexandria, is wise in the ways of ancient magic and medicine, a woman with uncanny insight and power. The lives of these 4 complex and fierce independent women intersect in the desperate days of the siege. All are dovekeepers, and all are also keeping secrets about who they are, where they come from, who fathered them, and whom they love. And that just sounds amazing. I can't wait to read that. I'm just going to stick that up here. Eve by William Paul Young. This is the author of The Shack, which I did read ages ago. I don't know, but I read it a long time ago, and I was sort of about that book, but at the time I was in a much different place spiritually than I am now, so I might reread that at some point just to see if it's something that I can relate to better now, but this sounds fascinating. When a shipping container washes ashore on an island between our world and the next, John the Collector finds a young woman inside, broken, frozen, and barely alive. With the aid of healers and scholars, John oversees her recovery and soon discovers that her genetic code connects her to every known race. No one would guess what her survival will mean. No one but Eve, mother of the living, who calls her daughter and invites her to witness the truth about her story. Indeed, the truth about us all. Eve is a bold, unprecedented exploration of the creation narrative, true to the original texts and centuries of scholarship, yet with breathtaking discoveries that challenge traditional beliefs about who we are and how we're made. As The Shack awakened readers to a personal, non-religious understanding of God, Eve will free us from faulty interpretations that have corrupted human relationships since the Garden of Eden. Eve opens a refreshing conversation about the equality of men and women within the context of our beginnings, helping us see each other as our Creator does, complete, unique, and not constrained by cultural rules or limitations. So I'm really curious about that. A Walker in the City by Alfred Kazin. A Walker in the City is a timeless meditation on the boyhood walks that take Kazin from his Jewish neighborhood in Brownsville, Brooklyn, out into the vast city of New York in the decade before the Depression stretching out to compelling, mysterious Manhattan, and from there to the world. Each walk is a journey out and a journey in. Kazan takes us outward from Brownsville to the great electric hallowed streets of the city, and he takes us inward into his own soul as it grows and falls in love with books and language and literature, with music and metaphysics and politics, with the city and the country and around the world. And as Kazan rapturously tries to take it all in, it becomes obvious that in order to do so, he first needed to take a walk out. Sounded interesting. Devil in the White City by Eric Larson. I read this a while back, years ago, and loved it, and thought it was really interesting, and the library had it, so I thought I'd grab it, because it's one of those books that I've just never stopped thinking about, so I'd really like to have it to refer back to. Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil by John Durant is just one of those books that you hear people talking about all the time, and I just have not read. So, I want to read it. Genteel society ladies who compare notes on their husbands' suicides, a hilariously foul-mouthed black drag queen, a voodoo priestess who works her roots in the graveyard at midnight, a morose inventor who owns a bottle of poison powerful enough to kill everyone in town, a prominent antique dealer who hangs a Nazi flag from his window to disrupt the shooting of a movie, and a redneck gigolo whose conquests describe him as a walking streak of sex. These are some of the real residents of Savannah, Georgia, a city whose eccentric mores are unerringly observed and whose dirty linen is gleefully aired in this utterly irresistible book. At once a true crime murder story and a hugely entertaining and deliciously perverse travelogue, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil is as bracing and intoxicating as half a dozen mint juleps. I mean, who could resist at least giving that a try? I mean, with a description like that. I found 2 Murakami books, which I'm really excited about. I've never read any Murakami, but I really want to. So, yeah, this is The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle. In a Tokyo suburb, a young man named Toru Okada searches for his missing cat. Soon he finds himself looking for his wife as well in another world that lies beneath the placid surface of Tokyo. As these searches intersect, Okada encounters a bizarre group of allies and antagonists. A psychic prostitute, a malevolent yet mediagenic politician, a cheerfully morbid 16-year-old girl, and an aging war veteran who has been permanently chained by the hideous things he witnessed during Japan's forgotten campaign in Manchuria. IQ 84. So this is what it says. A love story, a mystery, a fantasy, a novel of self-discovery, a dystopia to rival George Orwell's 1984. IQ 84 is a tremendous feat of imagination from one of our most revered contemporary writers. I have heard that you either love it or you just can't get through it at all. I recently read 1984. I don't know if there's any connections, but I did recently read 1984. This is significantly larger. But I have just been really curious about it, so I was really excited to find it for 50 cents. If you've read it, let me know what you think. I just want to make it clear because I am not a person that has tons of money to spend on books. So these are books that I purchased. I had different, coupons or coupon codes, so I'll tell you about how I managed to get each one. So the first one I picked up, I had a $5 gift card to Target that I won. I've had it since Christmas, and I didn't know if it was ever going to expire, so I figured I might as well go ahead and use it. So I grabbed this book that was maybe $7 and change. So I basically spent $2 for this book, and that is And I Darken by Kirsten White. This is a female retelling of Vlad the Impaler. I was curious enough for a female retelling of Vlad the Impaler to give it a try. Wrenched from their homeland ever since Lada and her younger brother Radu were abandoned by their father to be raised in the Ottoman courts. Lada has known that being ruthless is the key to survival. She and Radu are pawns in a vicious game, an unseen sword hovering over their every move. For the lineage that makes them special also makes them targets. Their hopes and dreams at odds. Lada despises the Ottomans and bides her time, planning her vengeance for the day when she can return to claim her birthright. Radu longs only for a place where he feels safe. When they meet Mehmed, the defiant and lonely son of the Sultan, who's expected to rule a nation, Radu feels as if he's made a true friend, and Lada wonders if she's finally found someone worthy of her passion. But Mehmed is heir to the very empire that Lada has sworn to fight against, and that Radu now considers home. Together, Lada, Radu, and Mehmed form a toxic triangle that strains the bonds of love and loyalty to the breaking point. The Prime Day in July, Amazon had a code to use for $15 worth of books, get $5 off or something like that. So I went ahead and got Because You Love to Hate Me. I know, I succumbed to the pressure of wanting to buy a book that booktubers had something to do with. And the idea of stories based around villains is interesting to me. See what I think, but I do think it's a gorgeous cover, and I am looking forward to reading it for myself and seeing what I think. Next, I picked up Kurt Michael's The Demon in the Trees by Ben Sanders, who is a booktuber, author-tuber, and you might be familiar with him because he does the movie shout-outs every week. Michaels has spent his entire life preparing to become an investigator like his father before him. The Watersburg Police Department grants his wish, and he becomes the youngest investigator in recent history. When he catches his first case, he's ready to tackle anything that gets thrown his way. What starts out as a simple robbery develops into something unlike anything the small town of Watersburg, Maine has seen before. When the daughter of the local district attorney goes missing, Michaels is racing against the clock to find her. As the information before him begins to make less sense the more he learns, Michaels uncovers a terrible secret that has been plaguing his home for years, hiding just beneath the surface. He needs to figure out whether he's stumbling down a false trail or, what would be worse, that there may be some truth to an old legend, the legend of the Wendigo. And I love the cover, and I definitely want to support fellow booktubers / author-tubers / indie authors / New England authors, because Ben lives in New England, and so do I, and yes, I am really looking forward to checking this out. Next, I won one of the giveaways that Derby and Krista at Books and Jams did for the Book Swapathon, which was a really fun readathon in June. And if you did not participate this year, I definitely suggest you keep an eye out for that for the next round. And so they were doing several challenges where you could win a $15 shopping spree at Book Depository. And so these are the books that I derby to order for me. Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf, which I've never read, and it was only like $2, and that was perfect because I needed to fill a couple more dollars. Yeah, this is a classic I know nothing about. Lady hostess Clarissa Dalloway is giving a party. Her thoughts and sensations on that one day, and the interior monologues of others whose lives are interwoven with hers, gradually reveal the characters of the central protagonists. Clarissa's life is touched by tragedy as the events in her day run parallel to those of Septimus Warren Smith, whose madness escalates as his life draws toward inevitable suicide. And the second book that I requested, I really am looking forward to reading this. It's called The Heart by Maylie de Kerangal. This is originally a French novel that has been translated. Jen Campbell has mentioned this book quite often, and I am really interested in anything that deals with the heart. It's about a group of teenage boys driving home. They're involved in a fatal car accident, and this book follows the 24 hours of and it follows his heart that is going to be transplanted. Jen Campbell's opinion on writing, and she has highly recommended this and says it's just beautifully written, and I expect to need lots of tissues while reading this. 2 more books that I ordered from Amazon, and I was able to order these because I do online surveys at times and earn rewards, and I was able to get a like $20 or $25 Amazon gift code, and so I decided to order some books, of course. And so the first thing I ordered was Shoot Down the Wendy Bird, which is a collection of short stories and poetry written by Julie Xantopoulos, who is the booktuber at Pages and Pens, and I just wanted to support her and her writing. I ordered Tom's River, A Story of Science and Salvation by Dan Fagan. This is a Pulitzer Prize winner, as you can see. I grew up in South Jersey, and Tom's River is, I believe it's South Jersey, or maybe it's considered Central Jersey. It's one of those towns I've never been to, but like when you live in New Jersey, you can't help but constantly hear about Tom's River, and oh, I have a friend in Tom's River, my so-and-so lives in Tom's River. So, I don't know, I just saw this, and I'm not familiar with this story of what happened, and I'm really curious. So it has something to do with the river, Tom's River, being poisoned or polluted, and what happened with that. So yeah, it's got something to do with toxic waste dumping in Tom's River and the health issues that caused, and I wanted to read it. So I bought it with my gift codes that I earned. So that's how I justify a lot of my book buying. So anyway, I'd love to hear what you think, if you've read any of these books, or if you want to read any of these books, let me know. Give me a like, comment, subscribe, share, all that stuff. And thanks again for watching. Have a great day.